Have you ever felt like there's just gotta be more to your spiritual life? Like more than just checking the boxes and going through the motions? Well, that's the exact feeling A.W. Tozer gets right into in his classic book, The Pursuit of God. So today, let's dive into his incredible guide for finding a real, personal connection with God.
Right from the start, Tozer doesn't pull any punches. He hits us with his powerful image, hungry sheep who are looking up for food but aren't being fed. What's he saying here? That so many of us are spiritually starving for a genuine experience of God, even when we're surrounded by religion. It's a feeling that, honestly, is just as real today as it was when he wrote it. Tozer called this a kind of spiritual sickness. Just imagine, sitting at a huge banquet, a feast, but you're starving to death. That's how he saw it. People had all the right words, all the outward signs of faith, but they were missing the one thing that actually matters, the real, tangible, felt presence of God in their lives.
And this, right here, is such a critical distinction he makes. See, on one hand, you can fill your head with right opinions. All the correct doctrines, the theology, the right words about God. But on the other hand, you have spiritual reality, that fire in your soul, the actual personal experience of God. And Tozer's warning is pretty stark. You can ace the theology test and still completely fail when it comes to having a vibrant, living spiritual life.
So this brings us to the very heart of the book, this whole idea of pursuit. And this is where we run into a really beautiful paradox. Think about it. How can you chase after someone who is, by definition, everywhere and already right here with you?
And here's the beautiful twist. Tozer says that the very desire you feel in your heart to seek God, well, that desire is actually a gift from God in the first place. He was seeking you first. That little nudge, that impulse to pursue him, is all the proof you need that you're already in his hand. It's this incredible paradox of love. The more you find him, the more you want to keep seeking him.
Okay, but if God is so close, why does it feel like experiencing him is so rare? Well, Tozer points to two huge obstacles. The first one, and maybe the most obvious, is our deep, deep attachment to things.
He has a great name for it, the tyranny of things. Just think about that possessive instinct we all have. Tozer says that simple little words like my and mine can be symptoms of a really deep spiritual problem. It happens when we let God's good gifts, our stuff, our relationships, even our own ambitions, take the place of God himself on the throne of our hearts. And the ultimate example of this, of course, is the story of Abraham and Isaac. God tells Abraham to sacrifice his own son, the son he loves more than anything. Why? It's not because God is cruel. It was a test to see where Abraham's ultimate trust really was. The test wasn't about Isaac, not really. It was a test of the father's heart and whether he was willing to surrender absolutely everything. And here is the secret. After the test, Abraham gets it all back, his son, his future. But something inside of him has fundamentally changed. Inwardly, he possesses nothing. The things he has no longer have him. His heart is finally and truly free. And this, Tozer says, is a lesson you can only learn in the school of surrender. Okay, so let's move on to the second obstacle, because it builds on the first. If the first barrier is our attachment to things outside of us, this second one is way more subtle and maybe even more dangerous. It's the enemy within, our self. Tozer uses this incredible metaphor, a veil. In the ancient temple, there was a real, physical veil that separated people from the holy presence of God. But Tozer says that today, each of us has an inner veil, one that's woven right into our own hearts. And it's this veil that hides God's face from us. So what's this inner veil made of? Well, Tozer says it's not the big, obvious sins you might think of. It's the subtle self-sins. Think about it. Self-righteousness, that feeling that we're pretty good on our own. Self-pity, self-sufficiency, self-love. These aren't just one-off actions. They're attitudes, woven right into the fabric of who we are. And together, they form a thick, thick barrier between us and God. And the solution? Well, it's not exactly pleasant. This veil isn't just cloth. Tozer says it's made of living, spiritual tissue. It has to be torn away through a kind of self-crucifixion. It's a painful process for sure, this surrendering of our self-life. But he argues it's the only way we can ever hope to see the face of God. So let's say we've started working on letting go of things and confronting ourself. What's next? What's the positive action that finally swings the door open to God's presence? Well, Tozer's answer is just beautifully simple.
After all that struggle and surrender, what does faith that really connects us to God even look like? It turns out it's not nearly as complicated as we tend to make it.
This is it. This is the absolute heart of the matter for Tozer. Faith is simply the gaze of the soul. It's directing your heart's attention to God and just keeping it there. It's a simple act of looking.
It's a lot like the ancient Israelites out in the desert. They were bitten by poisonous snakes, and the cure was just to look at a bronze serpent on a pole. That's it. Faith isn't some complex formula we have to figure out. It's a look, but not just a glance. It's a gaze, a steady, continuous habit of the soul, turning its attention back to God over and over and over again.
So what's the end game here? What's the payoff? When we clear away all these obstacles and learn to have that steady gaze, what actually happens? The result is something profound. We are restored to our proper place in the universe. This whole pursuit, this entire journey, is about rebalancing the scales. It's about restoring that fundamental creator-creature relationship. When he is rightly in his place as God the Creator, and we are rightly in our place as the creature, everything else in our lives just starts to fall into its proper order.
And this leads to a simple, powerful focus for a healthy spiritual life. It all boils down to a single, constant prayer, "Be thou exalted." Tozer really believed that this one prayer, if you sincerely mean it, could solve 1,000 smaller problems in your life. When God is on the throne of our hearts, everything else finds its rightful place, and we start to experience a peace that was just impossible before.
And so we end right back where we started, with that holy paradox. Tozer's own prayer shows us that this journey, this pursuit, it never really ends. The goal isn't just to have our thirst satisfied, but to be made even more thirsty for God. The reward for the pursuit is more of the pursuit. And when you think about it, what could possibly be better than that?